Three, two, one. Welcome to the Buckhouse podcast. I am one of your hosts, Benjamin Buckhouse, alongside with Johnathan Buckhouse right over there. We are two brothers that just talk over stuff and do things, and we talk about current events. We talk about what we're interested in. We talk about what we're not interested in. We talk about motivational stuff. We talk about just life in general. Johnathan is a snowboarding YouTuber. We started that channel together, and I am just a average Joe. Now, we do some lot of social media work. We do a lot of fun stuff. We do a lot of motivating stuff from there. This is episode 32. It keeps going. It keeps going. And today is also a very big day, as today is November 5th, Election Day. How are you feeling, bro?
I'm leaving the country today on Election Day because I can't handle this anymore. I'm going to Finland, and that is not a joke. I legitimately am heading to Finland today. I leave at 5 p.m. and it's 5 a.m. right now. So in 12 hours, I will be on a plane leaving this country. I can't handle these elections. This is ridiculous. I'm going to snowboard. I'm going on a snowboard trip.
I will say the thing I'm looking forward to most about this day is that we will stop seeing so many political ads and so much political talk on the internet, and I am so excited for it just to go away. I hate politics, and I'm very excited for it to go away. But let's talk about positive stuff.
Am I the only person, when you first see a good political ad, you're like, is this for Trump or like you kind of like, who's this ad for? Like, it takes like 2 seconds to kind of like, because they all look the same.
They all do look the same, and it is difficult to tell whether they're like bashing the candidate or talking them up.
Yeah, you're like, the things they do suck, and they all suck. Everything sucks.
But let's talk about positive stuff on this podcast. With Finland, what's out in Finland for you? Is this just like a random trip that you're going on? Was this a plan? Like, what's going on in Finland?
I mean, it's kind of random, but not. So I picked up a new sponsor. I'm gonna grab the box. Ricardo Pack Talk Outdoor. It's like a radio comm system. Essentially gives you instant communication on the mountain. It's pretty rad. And they're a new sponsor of the channel, and I was just negotiating with them over the summer for like our winter deal, and we like, agreed on the price and everything. And they're like, "Hey, by the way, you want to go to Finland?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then all of a sudden, like, here's your plane ticket. I was like, "Oh, okay, sick." So I'm headed to Finland for a week of shredding with absolutely no one I know. I don't know a single person, and I've never been to this country. Obviously, it's going to be good. There's 6 riders coming out of the United States. I'll actually meet up with them at the airport today. So it could be I show up and I'm like, oh, I actually know this person via social media, or maybe it is someone I know. But as of right now, I sound like I'm completely in the dark. I kind of am. But actually, we're flying from Colorado to London, and they literally have us going to London for a full day to kind of acclimate to the time change. But they're like, hey, we're going to fly you to London and put you right next to all of the cool tourist stuff. So get to go see all that stuff in London. And then we fly from London to Finland, and we're going to a place called Ruka, Finland, that has like, first off, when you're snowboarding, you can see the northern lights if the weather permits. So we're going to be able to ride under the northern lights. That sounds crazy. And then at night too, they like to do like different color lights for skiing and snowboarding. So they're like pink and blue and green and all that kind of stuff. So the mountain lights up really cool. And that's kind of all I know. I also do know that Finland speaks really good English. So that will help a lot.
Very nice. Very nice. What was I about to ask about this? I had something to ask about it. Shoot. I don't remember. Well, I'm really jealous that you're traveling.
Well, the cool thing is like traveling the world for free is really cool, because obviously that stuff's expensive, and I know I am blessed that I get to go experience the world for free, and some people will never get to leave the United States. If you can't leave the United States, at least travel the US, because it's so massive. So if you live on the East Coast and you've never been west, like, you have to either make that road trip or fly. Like, thankfully, I've seen actually the majority of almost every single part of the United States. I've been to basically almost every state, minus Ohio. I'm joking. There's a couple more I got to hit, but and it's insane how big this country is. Like, you could drive for 10 hours in Colorado and still be in Colorado, which is like mind blowing. And then you go to the other side of the world, and Europe is so small. It's just so different. And I'm barely scratched the surface of traveling. I've only gone to Austria and Switzerland, and Germany. Germany, Austria, and Switzerland are the only other states that are countries that I've been to. So adding London or England and Finland on the whatever. And I will say the one thing that's like terrifying about traveling is literally just getting your passport checked, because like the whole time you're like, this is just a me thing, but I'm like, let me into your country. I'm like so nervous. They're gonna say, no, you can't come in, and there's like no reason for them to tell me I can't come in their country. But they also ask you like, why are you here? And I'm like, in Germany, and I'm like, to snowboard. They're like, what do you mean you're gonna snowboard? And then I'm like, but that's why I'm there.
That is terrifying. I would be so terrified of that. I don't know. I just have this constant fear. I know exactly why you would be afraid. Now I have seen.
It's like the fear of getting fired all the time. You have like at your job, you're like, I'm gonna get fired. I'm getting fired today. Like I used to have that fear all the time at Target. I was like, they're never gonna fire me.
When I first got my job, I had a nightmare that I was gonna get fired, and I've been having really weird dreams the last couple of months, and no, I had a dream that I was gonna get fired, and that sparked so much anxiety just when I was going to work, and it's so scary.
You can hang out in here, just gotta be quiet, okay? You just hang out over there, okay? Sorry, Roman just woke up, so
you're good. I was gonna say there was I've been seeing a lot of there for a while on the internet, Europeans would hate on Americans for like not owning a passport and not traveling the world and all that stuff. And although I do believe that, like, I haven't traveled the world, but I really want to. I really want to go to a different country. I really want to experience that with this economy. Not very likely at the moment. But what I'm getting at is that there's been a shift as Europeans have been exploring America more. And they're like, people don't realize, number one, like people from other countries don't realize, number one, how big America is, but also actually how different it is. And we've pushed this a lot. Speaking of election day, we've pushed it a lot on how like people on the East Coast and people on the West Coast need different things politically. Like they are not the same. And it's like same thing for states. Like I was in the Midwest from Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Detroit for a trip. And every person drove completely differently there. And everyone kind of treats each other differently. And although, yes, we're all speaking the same language, and yes, we have very similar traditions and cultures, we also are very different. And just even when you drive like here in Colorado Springs, if I drive 2 hours west, I'm in the mountains, and it's a completely different experience. And that's just like, yeah, that's just the way that it is. You don't just jump on a train for 45 minutes and you're a whole new country. It's like you could drive through Texas for 16 hours and still be in Texas. Like it's so crazy.
Dude, Texas is the worst.
But it's just like, we're so big and massive that it's like, even if you just explore the United States, you're still experiencing crazy different cultures and crazy different experiences.
A big thought I have, it always blows my mind, because like I'm riding every resort in the United States. It's a goal I have on my channel. So I'll go into Arizona and have to go ride a resort in Tucson and then go all the way back up to Flagstaff. So I'm driving like all of Arizona and getting to see it, which is awesome. And then you realize like, oh my gosh, we have so much space in this country. And then we all just pile on top of each other in California or in New York City and like even Denver. It's like, why does everyone just pile into Denver when you could spread out? There's so much space. Like I'll be driving in the mountains. I'll be like, all right, I'm going to go to Wolf Creek for opening day. And you hit this valley that's just vast and open, and there's these beautiful mountains next to it. And you're like, there could be a mega city in this empty valley where nothing's going on. But yet everyone decided to like live in the Kansas part of the United States.
I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into that. There's a lot of history, there's a lot of infrastructure, and there's a lot of just kind of like quality of life when it comes to that. So one reason why Kansas is so empty and flat, and the reason why there's like Kansas City that's really populated and stuff, is because just from the history of the United States, like it's that area, the Great Plains is like farm area. So that's why the literal like middle of the United States, right? Pretty much east of Colorado Springs, to tell you the truth. If you go east of Colorado Springs, you're just in Kansas 2.0. And, if you go north into like the Iowa, Nebraska area, that part of the United States is just farm area. Like that's what it's there for. But it's kind of like I forget what it is, but there's those empty parts of the United States is what feeds the United States. It's what makes it happen. And so like it's really important.
It's actually what feeds the world, because we export tons of food in the United States. But the crazy thing is the river system that goes out of the Gulf of Mexico, like the Mississippi, and how many rivers connect, and the fact that even like the Great Lakes, you could be a boat in the Great Lakes and literally sail into the ocean, like from Lake Michigan, and like things like that. You're like, wait, what? From the middle of the United States, you can get a boat out of it to the ocean. Like it's crazy.
I would love to see that journey. But I was also going to say that like infrastructure, right? It's a lot easier to build off of an existing city than it is to create a whole new city. So although there's those like completely empty, beautiful areas in the mountains that could have a whole new city built there, you have to build a whole new city, and you have to deal with the plumbing. The amount of destruction you would have to do to then build is so like costly and everything. And it's so much easier just to build off of what you already have in a city like Denver or Los Angeles or Chicago and stuff. And like that's why they're so busy. But it's also like, who's going to move into a whole new area that they know nothing about? What if the quality of life is terrible there? What if the politics are terrible, right? So for them to go there, experience it firsthand, be like, oh, Denver's pretty cool, I like it. It's a lot easier for them to like move there and then continue building off of it. So it's a snowball effect, to tell you the truth. And that's what's happening with like Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is booming. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the nation right now. And it's just going to keep going and going and going. It's going to snowball. And it's already land mass wise larger than Denver, or like getting there. It's almost there. And so, it's just a snowball effect. There's so much behind it, but the United States is very empty at the end of the day. Like there's a lot of nothingness in the United States.
It is beautiful though. Like I've seen so many amazing, beautiful spots in the U.S. and I'm thankful. That was one of the things I knew was kind of possible with the YouTube channel getting successful, but like the world traveling, because I'm going to Finland today, but then in February I'm going to Revelstoke, Canada for like 4 days, and then I'm flying from Revelstoke to Austria. So this year I'm going to Finland, Canada, and Austria, all paid by companies, all completely free. And it's like, and it's cool because it is so different. Like the Alps are insanely different than our mountains. They're like just straight vertical. All the snowboarding is way up top of them, like the brutal mountains. In the United States, it's like mainly like tree riding. Like it's so cool seeing how different things are, and Ben touched on it earlier. And I think that's the beauty of like people having different opinions or different policies of politics or thinking differently, because it's like, like we all live different lives, and you need to be able to understand that someone's living a different life and they're not going to think the same way as you. And I think if you are okay with people being uniquely different, being uniquely themselves, then you can have a better life than trying to force your views on other people.
That's a rabbit hole that we will never be able to get out of. But I would love to experience different cultures, because I feel like I'm not very culturally aware of a lot of things. And so it's not like I'm trying to do that. Like, it's not like I'm trying to be ignorant towards different cultures, but it's just I don't have a lot of experience with them, and I don't research into them enough. And so it's like I would love to go experience a different culture, because I've heard about how like eye-opening that experience can be and how much it changes your life. And then I know that the more you experience different cultures, the less like you kind of learn, because it's like you've already experienced so many, and so like, oh, like they piggyback off of each other. But it still is like a cool experience. And I think it'd be really cool to go to like Europe and experience that, and then go to Asia and experience something like that, and Africa, like South America, go experience something on like different continents and different, like very different areas. Whereas if you go to many different countries, but they're all in Europe, yes, you're going to experience different cultures, but they're all going to be somewhat similar to going to see every single state in the United States, right? Like they're all very similar. So diversified type thing.
So the little bit of world traveling I've done, one of the biggest things I've noticed is we have so much fast food and restaurants in the United States. Like there are restaurants and there are places to eat in these other countries, way more scaled down. No crazy like billboard signage and things like that. Like basically in the US, it's like anywhere, any place, any time that we can be selling or advertising something, we are. Like you'll drive the highway and you'll see like 70 billboards. And then I drove from Austria all the way to Switzerland. I drove from Germany through Austria all the way to Switzerland and didn't see a single billboard on the side of the road. Like they don't do that. They don't advertise on the side of the road. I don't know if it's a safety thing, if it's just a cultural thing, but like in the United States, you just constantly feel like you're being sold to. Buy this, buy that, come get this, come eat this, come that. And it's like, it's kind of mind numbing here in the US with how much we advertise.
I hate advertisements, and I do hate billboards because I just think that they distract from the beauty that there is, in the sense that it's like, if you're driving through the mountains and you're seeing just a bunch of billboards, they're so in the way and they're so like, I understand from a business perspective why you would want to do that, but just from like a life perspective, it's like I would rather not be feel like I'm getting stuff forced upon me and rather just like live in the moment. And that's just not life, right? That's just not life anymore. There's ads on everything. I remember when the iPhones and iPod touches and all that stuff first came out and we played all these really dumb games on our phone, but we could just play whatever we wanted and there was nothing going on. Nowadays, you buy or you download a free app, it's cluttered with ads. They're just cluttered with ads.
Play it. I feel bad for Roman because he's always getting like stuck in these ads that keep opening different windows. He's just trying to play like a simple free game. It's disgusting. I hate phone apps. I hate phone games. I refuse to do in-app purchases, things like that. Like I can't stand it.
I would rather buy like a I don't have games on my phone really. I've got a couple that I've had like forever, such as Clash of Clans. That's a very popular game if you're not familiar with it, but that's a game that literally Johnathan told me to download when I was in middle school, I want to say, like 8th grade. So it's been going on for like 13, 14 years or whatever. I don't play it regularly, but I still just have it because it's just nostalgic at this point. But it's like I would rather almost spend like $2, $5 on a game and have no ads than get a free game and it's just cluttered with ads. Now, I still don't do that, but it's like that's the point that I'm at, is I would rather spend the money on the game for no ads than play it for free and just have ads literally every 10 seconds.
Absolutely. And I also think like, Fortnite kind of really launched it into the mainstream, but like a free game, and then there's just in-app purchases, and if you want to be the person that doesn't buy skins or whatever, you don't have to, and like you get to play the game for free. That's rad, because there are people that are going to buy all the skins and want to look a certain way, things like that. And I'm not upset about battle passes, like $10, and then you can, if you play enough, you earn a bunch of those options. I think those are legit. But yeah, hey, this game is free other than your time, I hate it.
So there's like pros and cons to the battle pass thing. And what it comes down to is I'm going to give like 2 examples, and that's Fortnite, like you gave, and then there's Halo Infinite, which is the game that I was like competing in and all that stuff. So Fortnite launched like the battle pass stuff, and they was so games have always had like, or I shouldn't say always, in the last like 8 years, games have offered the ability to buy customizations, and they were always like, people almost hated on you for doing it. They're like, oh, that's so cheesy. And then what happened was Fortnite came out and they were just piggybacking off of that existing idea where it's like you can buy these skins, and so many people, like I said, thought it was like cringy or whatever. But Fortnite had a handful of skins. I say handful, like literally 3 skins that came out for Halloween when the game first launched, and some people bought their skins because they just had the money and they were like, screw it, I don't care, I'm just gonna buy the skins. Then the skins went away because they were limited time, And then the game became extremely popular, and they still are making skins, so people were interested in buying those skins. But it's like, oh, you have that original Halloween skin, like that's so rare, that's so cool. And so it became this like clout chasing, or like this almost like super rare currency, the same way that people see like shoes and stuff where they're like, oh, that's so cool, like, oh, you have those, like I couldn't get my hands on that, like that's so cool, I always wanted one or whatever. And so it just was like this vicious cycle. With how big Fortnite was, it was just constant. So people were always like, I have to get every skin possible, because what if it becomes a rare skin, or like this or that. So that happened with Fortnite, and it just blew the game up. And Fortnite was making so much money off of it, because all these kids were taking their parents' credit cards and spending money on the game. And then other games started copying it. And Halo, the game that Johnathan and I grew up playing, has always traditionally been a $60 game. Spend $60, you get the full game. Well, with Halo Infinite, they went with that Fortnite approach, where it's a free game, but then you can buy these skins to then spend, like, bring in revenue. And in theory, it works, because people will continuously buy skins. I don't know the analytics off the top of my head, but I do remember hearing something where it's like, if it's a free game with skins, more often than not, people spend on average like $80 to $120 on the game, versus just a one-time purchase of $60. And that's just like the average. But that didn't happen for Halo. People weren't buying their skins. And so now Halo made a free game, and they didn't make any money off of it. And so it just didn't work.
Didn't you have to buy the campaign?
Yes. So the multiplayer is free, but if you wanted the campaign, you have to pay for the full game. But most people nowadays don't really care for campaigns. They just care for the multiplayer experience.
Yeah, man, the world of video games, it's changed so much. And I obviously, now that I have my own business, I'm a father, things like that, I don't game as much as I used to. I totally could. There's no shame in my game. I can play 8 hours a day. And that's why I don't. Because if I start, that's all I think about. It's all I want to do. I love it just as much as snowboarding, things like that. But thankfully, it's easy to not go. It's easy to not play games when I'm going snowboarding, getting fulfilled for the day, coming home, and I just got to be dad. It's like, that's fine. I could be dad, because I just went snowboarding for the last 4 or 5 hours.
I haven't been streaming as much. I haven't been gaming as much, and that's something that we talked about, like getting back in the routine. And that's something I've been praying on a lot. Is like, I'm very thankful for what I've been doing. Today has been kind of a little bit of a mess, but I still like went to the gym. I'm still podcasting, and like the last couple of days, Saturday I did leg day. Sunday I went and did the incline. That was a recipe for for not failure, but like a tough day. But anyways, I've been really pushing myself. I've been really doing a lot of good stuff, but I'm still like wanting, like, at the end of the day, like last night I got home and I was just hanging out with Kirsty, and I'm like falling asleep on the couch, and it's literally 7 p.m. and it's like, I just got home not even an hour ago, and I'm like falling asleep. So I've been praying and wanting more energy, but no, the little bit of gaming I do nowadays is on my Switch, and I'm gonna be honest, I love that thing. I love that thing, but it's, yeah, I understand now, when it's like, when you become an adult, you just don't have time to game. Like, you're just busy or doing stuff for different priorities and stuff. And I remember as a kid being like, I'm gonna game forever.
Yeah, it's hard, because it's like, it's not that I don't want to game. It's just, I want to be a good adult. And so, if you want money, if you want to have certain levels of success, you want to be healthy, you want to eat good food, all these things suck out that gaming time frame. Now, depending on your spouse type of situation, some people have spouses that are totally fine with them to go game all night long or something like that. And some people will sacrifice their sleep for video gaming. Like, it's totally possible. But when you're trying to have businesses or like a podcast, and then so you're doing like multiple edits a week on top of, trying to eat healthy, going to the gym for an hour every day, like a lot of stuff does take away that gaming time. So I know. And then, like, for me as a dad, like, I can play games with Roman. That's usually the only time I do game. But like, the last thing I'm going to do is like go sit in my room and play a video game and not hang out with Bristol, or like not hang out with Roman. Like, that doesn't sound fun. That, like, I want to give, like, I'd rather go play a board game with Bristol than go play a video game for myself.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I mean, I don't get it in the sense that I'm not a dad, but like I know what you mean by it. It's like it's probably very hard for you to justify going and doing something selfishly rather than doing it together. Like, Bristol is probably not at the age yet, but I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but she'll probably get to the age soon where like the four of you guys, right? Bobby, you, Roman, and Bristol can play like Mario Party together, and like that's so much more rewarding and that's so much more fulfilling than you just going and sitting and playing a video game completely by yourself. So it's like, yeah, you can still play the game, but it's because you're doing it with your family versus doing it completely alone. So yeah, I could see the justification being difficult.
And Bristol's only 3 for 1 year, and then she'll never be 3 again. And, she's only going to be in my household till she's 18, but she's only going to want to hang out with me till she's 15, and then she's going to want to hang out with her friends and do other things. And so it's like, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I can game when I'm 50, 60, and I don't have kids in my house, and I have a lot more free time, and my workload is less because I put in the hard work when I was 20 and 30 and 40. Does that make sense?
100%, but also you're being generous. She's not gonna want to hang out with you a lot sooner than 15, bro. No, I'm trying.
She's already on her way out.
It's so funny, like, because we've got nieces and nephews that are older, right? Our niece is 16, and so we're seeing that change with our own nieces and nephews and with our own siblings, where it's like, yeah, we've got those. They're going through those stages where they're like, "You're the worst, mom," and it's like, shut up, you're fine. I find that stuff so funny.
No, and I think a lot of people have this decision-making time, and I've mentioned it a couple times on the podcast now, but for any new listeners, like there was a moment where I was like, do I continue to play video games like competitively and try to be a professional gamer, or do I focus on snowboarding? And I had to I literally remember making this decision in my car. I was driving home from Brack, and Halo Reach was the Halo at the time. And I was like, do I still try to grind 8 hours a day of Halo? Because what would happen is I'd wake up tired, and I'd be my day off, and I could go snowboard or I could play video games. And I was making the decision to stay home and play video games, and then being so mad at myself for the rest of the week because I didn't go snowboard on my days off because I played video games. And it was this big mental battle because I wanted to be a professional gamer, but I also wanted to get really good at snowboarding. And I was like, okay, dude, you're done gaming. You're not going to go pursue this professional gaming thing because Halo Reach sucks. Focus on snowboarding. And I did. And thankfully that turned into becoming a profession. Not saying I do think I would have figured out how to become a professional gamer, but realistically, I picked one and I became professional at it, which is, I'm stoked. I'll never forget the day, bro, you called me or told me, you're like, yeah, I thought you were really stupid when you picked snowboarding over video gaming, but thank God it worked out for you, or something like that.
I don't think I've ever said that.
It was something along the lines. It was it would have been. It was I thought it was a dumb decision that you stopped focusing on gaming for snowboarding, but thank God you became a professional at snowboarding, because then it made that decision worth it or something.
So I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I said that because I really don't. I don't think I've ever felt that way. Because I don't. Something I've had for a while is I don't think it's stupid for anyone to make a decision, whatever decision that they make. If that's the decision you want to make, that's your decision. That's fine. But I think it was more so. I think I remember saying something along these lines, and it was that I was when I found out that you quit your job for Frito-Lay, and it's not that I was that was dumb, but it was it was a moment that all of us kind of had, where it was this is a little scary, but I'm very happy that it worked out. So I think that was the conversation more so, was that it was I was scared when you quit your job. And did I think it was stupid? Not necessarily. I thought it was risky, but I love risk, so I'm here for it. But I'm thank God it worked out type of thing, But no.
I mean, I did quit my job with 7,000 subscribers and a 1-year-old.
Yeah, that alone is scary.
It's crazy to think where we're at today after quitting. Yeah. Looking back, I could see why you guys would be worried of what I was doing. But in that moment, I was like, nah, this is the only thing that makes sense. I'm totally going to be able to make 10 grand a month, all that type of stuff. And it took a minute to get the ball rolling, but it got rolling. We're rolling.
Yeah, and it's not that I didn't believe in you. It was just like it's a very big leap of faith. And where it struggles the most was the exact situation that you were in the sense that, yeah, you didn't have hundreds of thousand subscribers. You only had the 7,000, but also you did have a 1-year-old, but also you were living in Silverthorne, which is a very costly place to live. So just the amount of variables that there were, that was what was so scary. It had nothing to do with like, oh, Johnathan quit his job. Like, what's going to happen? It was just like, okay, this better work out. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to bounce back type of thing, And so, no, I'm very thankful that it worked out, bro. And it's, like I said, it's never that I doubted you. It was just like, shoot, like this better work out type of thing,
Well, and for any of the listeners out there, I quit my job, and it's not like, oh man, I quit my job and this totally worked out. Like, no, I quit my job and I drained my savings account, and I did do better, but I didn't do, it wasn't immediately like success, and there was hard times, and my wife was working part-time. I quit my job, went full-time, but my wife was working part-time. And then after that first winter, we went into the summertime, and my wife actually did end up working a little bit more hours. She never went like full-time, but like I was watching Roman way more. She was going to work, and then the next winter came in, and season 4, like we sustained. Like we didn't have to pull any money out of the savings account anymore, but we like sustained. And then I always said this, like season 5 changed my life, and that's when I was able to put money into my savings account, and it really started rolling. And I was like, oh man. And then in season 6, I made a crap ton of money, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. This is insane. And then the economy went to crap, and it's been a downhill since then. Still doing fine.
It's very thankful. And like your journey is inspiring, and a lot of people don't fully know it. You're very open, and we're very open about it on the podcast, which we love so much. That's what we talk about a lot on the podcast, is like how real we can be and how deep we can get and stuff like that. And I think that you're very vulnerable on the podcast, which is great. But yeah, no, like there was a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of trials, tribulations, and maybe one day in your autobiography, everyone will be able to know the full story. But no, it's a crazy journey that you've gone through. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm feeling very motivated after this podcast, and based off of a dream I had going back to the Halo conversation. This weekend is a Halo tournament that means a lot to a lot of people, and what it is people like original pros and stuff are recompeting for Halo 2, which is a game that came out in 2004. So this is 20 years later, and they're hosting a massive tournament for it, but they're playing it on like the original Xboxes and with the original CRT TVs, right? The massive TVs. So like they're treating this like an old school tournament, and like I had a dream of me competing in there. So like that drive to want to compete never goes away, but it's like, I'm super excited for this tournament, but I'm also very motivated to push to get some work done and have energy this weekend to get stuff done.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, baby. The kids have officially woken up. We started this podcast a little later. We were talking about going on to that tournament, but then I went ahead and had to go to Finland, so we couldn't go to that tournament. But I totally would have went to that with you, bro. But I'm going to have to end this podcast a little earlier because of the little kids waking up. We started podcast a little later, and I'm also headed to Finland. I should probably start packing my bag. I'm not there yet. So
I will say this week is my fault for being the late start. Last week was Jonathan's fault, but don't worry. We're going to bounce back to a normal schedule when Johnathan comes back from this trip and life kind of mellows out a little bit. But no, yeah, this is 100% my fault for the late start. But hey, we still had a pretty good conference.
But we are doing it. Yeah. At the end of the day, like it's not going to be perfect. You do what you can, and that's what it is. Like if it's better to get a 30, 40-minute podcast out than not get a podcast out. So do what you can if you're trying to pursue content, and just know that you set goals for routines, or you like want to have certain routines, but the reality is sometimes you're not going to hit that, and that's okay.
Indeed. Well, tell the kids I love them, because I can't wait to see them the next time I see them. But yeah, thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing. Thank you guys for being a part of the conversation down below. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. We really do appreciate it. This is the Buckhouse podcast number 32. And yeah, got anything else to say, bro?
Daddy wanted.
Now, guys, thanks for watching, listening. Like, subscribe. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.